Listen, I get it. You have been trying to grow an audience on social media for months, for years, for what feels like forever. And you've watched all the videos, you've taken all the classes, you've read all the books, and nothing is working. Maybe you feel like taking a break. Maybe you're even at the stage where you feel like giving up completely. And if you do, all I ask of you is to watch this video first, because I'm going to give you some food for thought that might change your mind, but also might actually help you overcome this potential rut that you're in. Before I forget, let me introduce myself. My name is Jade. I upload videos just like this every single week. So if you enjoy this video, do not forget to hit the like button because it really helps me out, and maybe even join the family and hit subscribe. I don't know why I was holding my cup like this the whole intro. This isn't like an ad, although I do love this mug, but just ignore me. Okay, so oh, that's good. So you're in a rut. I totally get it. The first thing I want to talk to you about right now, though, is what I need you to not do. When we're in this situation where we feel like nothing is working, then we tend to make a few mistakes. And I just need to throw them out there now so that I can stop you from potentially making one of them. The first thing that I need you not to do is to throw money at the problem. This is one of the first things that a lot of us who are fortunate enough to be able to do this will do, right? And there's a few ways that this will manifest itself. One way is that we decide to put money behind our content and we boost it. So if we look at Instagram as an example, we might decide, do you know what? Nothing's working. I'm going to start spending £5 a day to boost my Instagram post so it reaches more people. I need you not to do that, because if your content is not landing, then putting money behind it is not going to make it land with people. Okay? You're just going to make the problem more expensive when the problem previously might have been free. So we're not going to throw money on it. Okay? The next thing I need you not to do is to make your analytics or your lack of growth mean more than what it actually does. So as humans, we have this tendency to spiral. I don't know why. Obviously, no one likes to spiral, but yet we put us in a position where we spiral quite often. So we have a bad month on social media, or a bad year, or a bad forever on social media. And then we start to tell ourselves that it means more than it actually does. What it actually means is that our content isn't performing well for us, right? But we sometimes start to tell ourselves that it actually means that we're not creative people, that the business we're trying to start will never work, that we're not good at anything, that we're not savvy enough, all this other stuff. Like, we start to tell ourselves all these stories and they're all a load of crap, right? Your analytics and the performance of your social media account does not mean anything beyond the fact that your content isn't performing as well as it could right now. That's all it means, okay? The third and final thing that you need to look out for is deciding that you're in like a flop era and like your content isn't working based on other creators' content. Now, I know for a fact there's going to be at least a handful of you who are doing this. We have this tendency to compare ourselves to others. And sometimes when we do that too often, we could end up telling ourselves that actually our content is not performing well because we're using other creators as a benchmark. The truth is, we can never know what's going on with someone else's social media presence. They might be doing well because they're using engagement groups or they're buying followers. They might be doing well because they got featured on a friend of their social media account and their friend happens to be Beyonce, right? There are so many reasons why their content could be performing really, really well. And because we don't know those reasons, there's no point us comparing ourselves to them because it's not an even playing field, okay? So now that we've got the things that I need you not to do out of the way, let's move on to what you should be doing. I always do this thing where, like, if I'm doing a chilled video where I'm kind of just chatting, which is all my videos, let's be real, I get a coffee because I think it makes me feel like so much more relaxed and it brings like the relaxed vibe, but then I can't drink it because I'm talking so much. So I don't know why I do this. It's like the perfect temperature right now, and I just know it's going to get cold. Okay, so first thing that I want you to do, I want you to strongly consider how you can dial up your word of mouth. Now, word of mouth is essentially, I guess, a form of marketing, which involves people talking about you, but in a good way. People mentioning your social media accounts when they're out and about speaking with their friends. I want you to start with this because this is one of the most effective tactics that anyone can ever use to spread the word about anything. And it happens offline. It's completely organic. It's got nothing to do with any algorithms. It is literally down to whether your audience think of you when a topic related to your content arises. Let me give you an example. This is what I hope happens when you are out with your friends or family and the topic of social media comes up, right? This is how I picture it playing out in my head. You're out for dinner. One of your friends is like, oh my God, I'm just having so much trouble growing my Instagram at the moment and I really want to become a content creator. And you know, there's just no useful information out there. How do I do it? Then I hope you turn to them and you're like, oh my God, let me tell you about about Jade. She creates loads of free content that can help you. Here's her YouTube channel and her Instagram and her TikTok, right? And this is her podcast. That's what I hope happen. That's what I hope happens in my dreams. Can you let me know in the comments if you ever do that? Because it would make my year. This is what I'm aiming for. I'm trying to leave such a lasting impression with you that I come to mind when people bring up a subject similar to my content. That is what I want you to aim for as well. Okay? Instead of creating content being like, this needs to go viral, this needs to make me grow straight away, I need to reach loads of people. Forget about that for a second. Think about the people who you are reaching, even if it's 4 people versus 1,000. Think about those 4 people. Think about how you can create content that resonates with them so much that they think of you when they're talking to their friends later. And obviously, you know, I never leave you hanging. I need to give you like very specific tactical steps because I can't just leave you with a concept, right? I need to give you tactical steps to do, right? So this is something to think about if you're struggling with this idea of how to create content that resonates to that level. There are 4 value points that I bang on about all the time. And value points are essentially a point of value that you can share in your content. You don't need to share all of them, but if you can land one of those, then you're in a position where your content can really resonate with your audience. So for example, mine is educational content. That's my value point. So I'm trying to make content that is so educational that you watch it and you're like, I've just learned so much. Because if you leave my videos feeling that way, you best believe you're going to think of me when someone mentions something to do with social media or content creation in the future, right? So educational content is one. Another type of value is relatable value. So when you're creating content that people watch and they're like, oh my God, that's so me. I relate to that so much. There's also entertaining value. So someone watches it and they found your skit really funny or your dance really entertaining, you know? And then there's inspirational value. So they saw your content and they left feeling so inspired and motivated to go do something great. Okay, focus on those. The more you nail one or more of those value points, the more lasting impression you leave, the greater the chance of you benefiting from word of mouth. Quick coffee break. Okay, the next thing I want to talk to you about is your mindset. Now, some people hate talking about this because it's not like tangible advice, but this is going to have the biggest impact on whether or not you actually turn this around, if I'm being completely honest with you, right? There's a few things we need to tackle here when it comes to the topic of your mindset that you're probably currently in. The first thing that I want you to do is to remind yourself that there are real people behind every single view that you get on your content. A lot of the time we're striving for hundreds of views, thousands of views, tens of thousands of views. And when we're doing that, we're forgetting that each view is one person. And the idea that we can actually resonate and have an impact on one individual is huge enough. Okay. And if you do that correctly, then you can still reach whatever goal you're trying to reach. So first thing, remember there are real humans behind every single view that you get. The second thing is to revisit or to develop your why. So your why is like your North Star. It's your guiding light. It is the reason why you get up and stick a camera in your face every day, right? And your why can't be like, I'm doing this so that I can gain 10,000 followers. It can't be, I'm doing this so that I can make more money. Those are goals. Those are objectives and they're great and we should all have them. Your why sits above that. So if you're thinking to yourself, oh, but my why is that I want to make more money, I now want you to dig deeper and ask yourself, but why do you want to make more money? Is it because you're trying to establish financial security? Is it because you want to spoil your family, right? Is it because you want to travel more? Like that is the deeper why that we're getting to. I also want you to think about your audience when you think about your why. Do you want to gain your following so that you can help more women feel more comfortable in their skin? Do you want to grow your following so that you can help more content creators learn how to make an income online? That's my one, right? What is something deeper there that you can do? Because once you figure out what that why is, not only would it help you weather these storms, because, you know, there will be storms in the future as well. Social growth isn't linear, unfortunately. There'll be ups and downs. It will help you weather the storm, but it also will feed into my previous point. If you're creating a piece of content and it only reaches one person, but your why is to help them feel better in their own skin, well, you've still done that. And you've still achieved it. So that's still technically a successful piece of content. Last but not least, you need to rekindle your love for content creation, because I'm willing to bet that if you're at a stage where you're just sick of it, sick of all of it, then you probably don't have the most positive feelings towards creating content. And I've said it before and I'll say it again, your audience can pick up on that. They can pick up on it, they can tell the vibe. I have a few videos on my YouTube channel, I won't tell you which ones, but if you watch all of them in one go, which would be wild, you'd be able to tell which ones I'm talking about, where I'm not in the mood. I'm not in the mood to film for whatever reason, and I can tell, which means you guys can tell. And you have often told me before, like, is everything okay? You can pick up on my vibe, right? So all of that to say that we've got to hold on to the love that we feel for creating content, or the love that we feel for talking about whatever topic topic it is that we talk about, right? We need to get to a stage where we want to create content again and we enjoy it. And if that means you taking a break, take that break and come back refreshed and good to go. Okay, so the final thing I'm going to want you to do is to dial up your unique selling point, also known as a USP, also known as your special sauce. It's not really known as that. I call it that though. So in my head, it's also known as special sauce. What is your special sauce, right? The thing is, there are a lot of creators out there and there is a lot of content being shared. The good news is though, that we are literally all born with something that makes us unique. We are not all born the same and we're all sitting here trying to scramble, figure out how we're gonna make ourselves seem different, even though we're inherently the same. We're not. We're all born different and unique. We all have different life experiences. And that means that we all grow up to be different people with different personalities, right? Lean into that. Cannot stress this enough. This is the thing that is inbuilt, that is your special sauce. All you have to do is let that shine. You got to let that out, okay? This is really going to help you with my initial point about word of mouth. The more you can stand out from the crowd, the more likely your audience are to remember your name and not someone else's when they're speaking with their friends. Something to keep in mind when you're struggling with this is that what I want you to do is to show up online. I'm not going to say the buzzword authentically. I want you just to show up in your content as yourself. I don't want you to get in your head and start acting the way you think your audience wants you to. Don't do that. Don't put words in your audience's mouth, okay? Don't assume that they want you to act a certain way. The best way for you to act is completely yourself. And if you're worried that you're going to put some people off, good. For every one person that you put off, you attract 5 more. For every one person who watches my videos and thinks, I don't get this girl, she doesn't make any sense to me, like I don't vibe with her, there's a handful of people who are like, I get this girl, when she explains things, it really makes sense to me. And you know, her vibe's all right, okay? So it's okay for you to repel the odd person every now and again. That's okay. It's far more valuable for you to show up as yourself and strongly attract people and push a few people away, rather than to show up as this vague version of yourself and attract no one. Everyone just kind of feels a bit lukewarm when they come across your content. We don't want that. Okay, so guys, those are my top tips. But out of everything, I just want you to remember that it's okay that you feel like this is hard at the moment. That is normal. We all go through those phases. But whatever goal you're trying to achieve, you can achieve it. You just got to stick with it and you've got to continue to put in that work. Okay, so if you feel like hanging around and continuing your learning, I recommend watching this video. It's all about how you can stand out online. So I really feel like you would find this super useful. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I can't wait to see you in my next video.